I'm Dominic Robiliard, the creative director of Star Wars 1313. The kind of demigod complex that we've maybe seen, and what you would expect, frankly, from a Jedi game, is definitely one vision of what playing in Star Wars universe could be like. But we wanted to go with something that had a much more relatable hero character, somebody who was more grounded, and that meant having ultimately at the core a character who is bound by the range of human ability, but then still gets to do amazing things through his gear, his gadgets, and how he gets to use the level design and the environment. And it's just a completely different equation. And the cool thing about that is that you can go for much more visceral, exciting gameplay with a guy that you know can die. And I think it's just something that fits really well with this kind of dangerous criminal underworld, knowing that you're under that kind of threat and having that live in the combat and this kind of death-defying platforming as well. It all starts kind of coming together really well.
Something's not right here. Let's check.
This first version will be definitely more narrative driven, and so there will be an upgrade path and a progression in the things that you get to play with. That's our big kind of extra chunk of gameplay breadth that we're bringing to this genre, but it's all very tied to the narrative. So one of the cool things that you have with these story-driven games is the opportunity to tie gameplay benefits to narrative moments, so that you can kind of subconsciously underwrite the player's connection to something that's going on in the story, or a relationship that you want to have meaning with a character. You can kind of very subtly underwrite that by giving the player cool things from these characters, or adding meaning to something that you get to play with in the game and connecting it to a narrative twist or something like that. And so it's not an RPG where you would get to pick and choose how you upgrade, but we like to think we're trying to be clever about how you kind of connect all of the paths, the upgrade paths that you are on, to the story and the narrative.
Was that really necessary? Nope!
We never set out to change the way anything is done necessarily. It was more like, look at all the things we have access to, and frankly, what do people expect from a LucasArts game, knowing that we're right next to ILM and Skywalker Sound and Lucas Animation, all those things. What can we do that makes sense for the game? And a lot of the innovations that we're kind of discovering on a production standpoint have just emerged from that. Not, rather than this kind of top-down, you guys should be working together because it makes sense. It does make sense, but it only has got to the point that it's at because of what the game needed. And I kind of feel that there's innovation to be had whenever you look at a problem that way. So I wouldn't necessarily say that everyone should start doing it the way that we're doing it. We've got a solution that fits the needs of the game and what we have access to. And again, I kind of feel like whatever situation you're in, you need to look at what you have available and make the most creative use of what you have. And until we start seeing people trying to do that and maybe not making it, it's hard to know whether there's only one way to do it. I always think there's more than one way to do things. So.
Well, I'm heading inside.